The history I experienced with my parents and my sisters has reinforced my belief in the power of individuals and the possibility for change. After Japan attacked Pearl Harbor in 1941, the Canadian government deprived all Japanese Canadians, like my family, of all rights of citizenship under the War Measures Act. We were Canadian born and raised, and yet we lost everything and were incarcerated in British Columbia for the duration of the war. Although Canadians pride ourselves for our democratic traditions, we should remember that our ideas and our beliefs are constantly changing. And here I have to pause because I have to find where my notes start. Yikes! Okay. Well, I'm not worried. Less than a century ago, half the population did not have full democratic status until women got the right to vote in 1918. African Canadians and Asian Canadians, including those who were born and raised here like my parents, couldn't vote until 1948. And the indigenous people of these lands didn't get the vote until 1960. Homosexuality was illegal in Canada with punishment including jail sentences until 1969. Now, Canadian same-sex couples can marry. And Canada has formally apologized to Japanese Canadians for their treatment during World War II and paid reparations for it. None of these rights was gained without struggle. It's only when enough people get together and demand change that we make advances in rights that benefit our society. Our campaign for environmental rights is also one for human rights and social justice. Many of our environmental problems are created by societal inequities, hunger and poverty, chronic unemployment, absence of social services, inadequate public transit, and often conflicting priorities of corporations and the public interest, as people at the lower end of the socioeconomic scale are disproportionately affected by environmental hazards and toxic pollution. One person, Rachel Carson, captured my interest and propelled me and millions of others around the world into a global movement. In 1962, Carson's book, Silent Spring, documented the unintended consequences of pesticides. Carson showed that farmers' fields are not like the controlled lab conditions in a flask or a growth chamber. That pesticides can move up the food chain, killing fish, sterilizing birds, and inducing cancer in people. When Silent Spring was published, no government in the world had a Department of the Environment. Her book galvanized millions of citizens who put the environment on the global agenda. Environmental offices were established at all levels of government. Laws were passed to protect air, water, and endangered species, and millions of hectares of land were protected as parks and reserves. Carson's book showed that one person can spark a movement that can change the world. We can't all be Rachel Carsons, but together, I believe we can be an irresistible force. I've seen many positive changes in my lifetime. Some brought about through protest, some through legislation, some through a shift in consciousness, and many through a combination of all these factors. Canada and the United States worked out agreements to reduce transborder acid rain, set up commissions to manage transboundary species like salmon and halibut, and formed the IJC to protect water in the Great Lakes. while the world adopted a protocol in Montreal to phase out CFCs and protect the ozone layer. Change that once seemed impossible happened in many other areas as well. One of the small ones is that it wasn't long ago that most people, including, I'm ashamed to say, me, thought nothing of lighting up a cigarette at work, in the car with the kids, in a restaurant, or even in a movie theater. Over a very short time, that has changed. I went through a shift in environmental consciousness in the early 1980s when I made a film about the battle against logging in Haida Gwaii, that group of islands off the northwest corner of British Columbia. For years, environmentalists, Haida loggers, and politicians had been locked in a struggle over the fate of the great forests of that island, of those islands. The indigenous Haida people had a high level of unemployment and were desperate for the kinds of jobs that forestry offered. Yet they were united in their opposition to the forest companies. I asked a young Haida artist who had led the battle, what difference did it make to him? He was an artist. What difference did it make to him if the trees were all cut down? And his answer puzzled me. He said, yeah, sure, we'll still be here. But then we'll be like everybody else, I guess. And I thought about that, and after a lot of contemplation, I realized that he had opened a window on a radically different way of seeing the world. And I learned that to the Haida, they don't end at their skin or their fingertips. To be Haida means to be connected to the land, that the air, the water, the fish, the birds, all of that is what make the Haida who they are. Sever that connection by destroying the forests, and then they are rootless like everybody else. And as I reflected on that insight, I realized that we environmentalists had framed the problem incorrectly. There's no environment out there, and we separate from us, and we have to regulate our interaction with it. The environment is embedded within us. We are as much a part of our surroundings as the trees and birds and fish, as the sky, the water, and the rocks. Whatever we do to them, we do to ourselves.